Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Professional Liability Insurance Continuing Competency Activity. That's me, Brian Buell, in the upper left-hand corner of the slide, registrar for the college. And there's a key question asked on this title page, and it is, are you and your patients protected? Professional liability insurance is frequently referred to as PLI by professions. And this insurance is a special insurance product that protects professionals against liability for damages and the cost of defense arising from their alleged or real professional errors or omissions in the practice of their profession. This is not homeowners liability insurance coverage or a rider on such a policy that you may already be familiar with. Pursuant with Section 8 of the corporate bylaws of the college, the minimum coverage currently required by registrants is no less than $5 million per occurrence, plus there's additional requirements that we will show you in the next slide. This is to compensate patients, clients, residents for damages associated with unskilled practice. The employer's insurance policies are no longer suitable because they do not respond on behalf of the employee responding to allegations of unprofessional conduct. Situations were arising where registrants were actually practicing with no liability insurance coverage for themselves or their patients. This happened in situations where the employee was working casually for multiple employers, mistakenly thinking that one employer's insurance policy would respond for practice with a second or another employer. There are changes in the PLI coverage, and these changes originated based on the Alberta Health Minister's request to the CRTA Council, and the result of the council deliberations are listed on this particular slide, and it was referred to earlier in the previous slide. So the coverage period for PLI will be from April 1st or possibly later to March 31st of the subsequent year, wherever and for whomever you are working. So your policy follows you. You don't follow a policy associated with an employer. The PLI minimum is $5 million per claim up to a $10 million aggregate. You must have coverage for disciplinary legal expenses of $100,000 and criminal defense reimbursement for $100,000, sexual abuse therapy and counseling fund of $50,000. The deductibles must be zero, and the coverage territory is worldwide claims that are filed in Canada or the United States. And you must have an extended reporting period for 5 years. This provides a protection bridge for any leave of absences you may be on, as well as when you retire. This slide shows insurance terms that you must be familiar with as defined by the Insurance Bureau of Canada website, Insurance Basics Glossary. It'll help you be more informed making liability insurance purchases. I'd like to begin with the professional liability insurance term, and this protects professionals against liability for damages and the cost of defense arising from their alleged or real professional errors or omissions in the practice of their profession. A policy is a legally binding contract affecting insurance or certificates thereof, including all clauses, riders, endorsements, and renewals. Policy conditions are provisions which state the rights and duties of both the insured or insurer. A policy limit is the maximum amount an insurer will pay under a policy, either overall or under a particular coverage. And we've listed some of those earlier in a previous slide. Policy period is the duration of a policy, most often 1 year in property and casualty insurance, and it's also called a policy term. A policy holder is an individual or entity who owns an insurance policy. They're the insured. That would be you as the regulated member. And the next slide continues with some insurance terms, and one of the most important ones is the certificate of insurance. It's a written document stating that insurance is in effect, includes general statement of the policy's coverage. Highlighted on this slide is important information that you must know, and it's not defined by the Insurance Bureau of Canada. You must upload your certificate of insurance when you renew for 2025-26. There are no exceptions. It will also be verified during any continuing competency audits being conducted by the registrar if selected. Practicing without the prescribed liability insurance coverage will result in a referral to the complaints director and possible disciplinary action. Remember, during practice permit renewal, you have sworn a legal declaration stating you have such professional liability insurance coverage prescribed in the bylaws and registration policy approved by council. A claim is the exercising of a policyholder's right under a policy to be paid by his or her insurance company for certain financial losses suffered. A claim can be any notification of a possible loss under an insurance policy, whether or not any payment follows. For every claim that is reported, the insurance company must set aside money or reserves sufficient to cover its anticipated cost. A claimant is one who makes a claim. Hopefully not, but it possibly may be you. Claims made policy refers to an insurance policy that provides a coverage when a claim is made against the policy, regardless of when the claim event took place. A claims made policy is most likely to be purchased when there is a delay between when claims occur and when they are filed. And this is applicable to healthcare professionals, particularly those working in neonatal and pediatric practice settings. So we have some additional insurance terms defined by the Insurance Bureau of Canada, and what an insurance contract covers can be interchangeably with insurance or protection, as in fire coverage or fire protection or fire insurance. We're interested in professional liability insurance, protection, professional liability insurance coverage, or professional liability insurance. Damages are the money claimed by or ordered to be paid to a person as compensation for another's fault or negligence. And this would typically result from either a judicial decision by a judge and or group of judges or jury, as well as a hearing tribunal panel for professional misconduct allegations and costs, which would be damages that the college experienced. A limitation period is a time prescribed by law within which a party has the opportunity to bring a legal action. For adult patients, it is typically 2 years, but for neonatal and pediatric patients, it's up to 20 years. This is important for you. The insurance terms on this slide are not defined by the Canadian Insurance Bureau, but they are important wording that's common in professional liability insurance policies. One is an extended reporting period, and this is typical policy wording that responds to a professional liability claims that are discovered and filed after you have retired or discontinued practice for a period of time. So this could be for leaves of absence, most notably maternity leave, paternity leave, and other situations, as well as when people retire. The notification period is very important, and it's typical language in a professional liability insurance policy that specifies the time that you are expected to report any claim of action or action against you, such as the receipt of a notice of complaint from the college's complaints director. Failure to comply with this policy requirement may result in your professional liability insurance policy not responding on your behalf. This is very important. Where to source professional liability insurance? These policies are available from a variety of insurance brokers who specialize in such insurance products, subject to their pricing practices, which may vary in relation to prevailing Alberta insurance market conditions. The college does not endorse any particular insurance provider, but does expect all the minimum policy coverages are contained in your PLI policy that responds for whomever you work for or with. As usual, caveat emptor, which is a process well known in common law as let the buyer beware. And please be fully aware of your policy contents and all your obligations contained in the insurance policy wording. For basic information on filing an insurance claim or resolving any disputes that you might have with a liability insurance provider, please see the links contained in this presentation. They will provide you with basic information and assist you should you encounter any issues. As usual, don't hesitate to call the college if you have any questions pertaining to the requirements for the professional liability insurance. Thank you very much for your attention, and we'd also like to draw your attention to the talking points, which contains additional information that you can obtain from the website.